Hello. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jennifer Cortez. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Alkami Technology, and we have a really great discussion planned for our attendees today. If you follow Alkami, our content, our research, you've probably heard a lot of conversation around anticipatory banking and digital sales and service. And that is really going to be the focus of our discussion today. I'm really excited to have two Alchemy customers that are helping lead the way in terms of digital sales and service in the industry. And they're going to share a little bit about their journey with you, talk about where they're going, and we're going to talk about the key topics and value drivers that we see that come out of a digital sales and service platform. So, as we kick off today, I'm going to introduce our panelists. I'm going to start here with Darius Wise with Red Rocks Credit Union. Darius, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your role and your institution.
Yeah, Jennifer, thanks for having me. And we're excited to be onboarding this solution next year. Alchemy was a big decision for the institution, and we go live October of 26. But I'm Darius Wise, President and CEO of Red Rocks Credit Union. We are situated in Littleton, Colorado. We are about 46 years old. Most credit unions are in our country are probably on the 100-year spectrum. So we're a little bit younger, and from that standpoint, we're 340 million in assets in terms of our size. We serve Arapahoe, Douglas, and Jefferson counties. That's our field of membership. Our seg was originally started out of Martin Marietta, which is now Lockheed Martin. A group of engineers got together, wanted to take their financial futures into their own hands, and 46 years later, we are here serving our community and excited to do so. We serve at the behest, I like to say this, of our member owners. We call our mission, in a sense, we define our mission and our vision as desiring to be the most people-centric financial institution in all the communities that we serve. And really what that boils down to is creating an effortless and personalized digital experience for our members. And that's delivered with unparalleled service. And so you can see the connectivity behind our tech stack and the importance of having a tech stack that really serves the member and puts the member's needs first.
Awesome. Thank you, Darius. Thank you so much for being a customer and for joining us today. Our second
Absolutely.
panelist is Monica with Mascoma Bank. So, Monica, take a few minutes to introduce yourself, your role, and tell us a little bit about Mascoma.
I love that mission, Darius. Hi, everybody. I'm Monica. I'm the Assistant Vice President, Digital Banking Product Owner for Mascoma Bank. We are a mutual bank. We serve Northern New England, so Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. We have been around for a little over 125 years. So we've been around for some time. We've seen, a lot of change in the industry and been through a lot of different stages in our journey with, technology and with utilizing customer data. So we have been live on the Alchemy platform since January of 2024. And I'm really looking forward to talking through the digital sales and service platform today. It was a big part of what drew us to the Alchemy platform.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. So, with those introductions, let's talk a little bit about the agenda for today's conversation. We're going to start by sharing a little bit about our vision for anticipatory banking, what we mean by that, and how you can make that a reality. And then the bulk of the discussion today is going to focus around the outcomes that you can achieve. It's all about creating value at the end of the day for the customers in our community, but also for your account holders, most importantly. So that's where we're going to really focus the bulk of our time. And then we'll end with some key takeaways and next steps as we wrap up the conversation. So with that, let's set the stage a little bit on how we came to this vision of anticipatory banking and where we are. As we look over the past decade or so, there has been a lot of innovation in this space, and there's been a lot of new technology out there. And many financial institutions have made really smart, well-intentioned investments to modernize their tech stack as they were going along this digital transformation journey. But what we've seen is that all this evolved and this proliferation of technology, in some cases, many of you may have been left managing this growing mix of tools and data that, while on their own, worked really well. didn't always connect. And so it's kind of resulted in things like siloed systems and datas and technology that was really designed to enhance the relationship banking that you all are so good at and that sets you apart from mega banks and neobanks out there. It's kind of gotten in the way and it's created, some friction there in that journey because they haven't always connected or scaled the way we needed them to. So as we sit back and we look at that, we've thought at Alchemy, well, what if we could connect those in a better way? What if we could take those most crucial systems that you all have and connect them in a way and yet leverage that data in a way to create the next era of relationship banking? At the end of the day, as we see what's happening when it comes to digital transformation, we really need to help you take those relationships that you had that have been so well in person, where you knew your account holders well. You've always known how to anticipate their needs. And we need to find a way to recreate that in a digital world. We think that goes beyond just ideas of personalization and it moves into becoming anticipatory. So, what do I mean by that? What's the difference between personalization and anticipatory banking? Personalization might be something like, "Hi, Jennifer, thanks for logging into your app today." Whereas anticipatory banking might look something like the example you see here on the right of your screen. "Hey, we noticed your balance is low. Your paycheck isn't going to be here for you a few days. Let's help do something about that. Let's get ahead of that now." The idea behind anticipatory banking is finding a way in that digital channel to continue differentiating on how you intimately know your account holders and showing up for them exactly where you need to before they ask. So that's the bulk of where we're trying to go today. With that, I'm going to start here kind of with our first question for the panel. And I'll start with you, Darius. Have you seen situations now at your institution where you wish that you could have acted earlier and maybe those insights came too late? What's an example maybe that you could think of there?
Yeah, there are dozens of examples. I'll say, Jennifer, I love the delineation between anticipatory and personalization. Frankly, one of the things that drew us to Alchemy was uh, the investment that you guys make consistently in R&D. And this is one of those things. For Red Rocks, anticipatory banking is a strategy built on empathy and dedication to service for the people that bank with us. I think now more than ever, in order for financial institutions to gain trust, the trust of our members and the community, it's critical to pay close attention to these gaps and to really understand the human story of what technology is leaving behind. You said this earlier, and we were definitely that a year and a half ago. Our core, everything from our core platform to our CRM to our online banking platform, all of these disparate systems were operating in isolation. And it was causing not just our staff, but more importantly, our membership heartache and challenges because we weren't able to let alone anticipate, but really personalize the experience. And we got together as a team and decided to really gut our tech stack 2.5 years ago. And so we started with our core. We shifted cores, and then we shifted CRMs, and Alchemy's our final step. And again, as I mentioned, we go live in October 26, and we couldn't be more excited. But we've countless examples of just missing the mark in terms of anticipatory banking.
Okay, great. Thank you. Monica, what about you? I know you're farther along, in your journey here, but just even in your past, have you seen situations where, you could have acted earlier, you wanted to act earlier, and you just didn't have the right data or insights or tools to do that?
Absolutely. I think a lot of my background here at the bank before our Alchemy implementation was actually in our branches. And it's really one of the greatest strengths of the community banking industry, whether that's community banks, small credit unions. It's really that human element that customers feel when they walk into a branch that the people working there know exactly who they are. They know exactly who they are. They know what they're likely coming in for. They can make conversation about it. They can make helpful suggestions. And it's been a real challenge in our digital platforms to be able to recreate that sense of understanding for our customers, that when they are logging into digital banking or when they are looking into new accounts that they can open online, that we know who they are and we aren't, displaying things that don't interest them, or we're able to kind of get ahead of their needs in that way. I would say in my role, in my seat, one of the biggest challenges is in trying to improve and optimize, right, the digital onboarding experience. Some of the most valuable data about your onboarding experience comes after they've opened the account. It's, how long did it take to activate that debit card? When did they start spending? Are there direct deposits coming in? And not being able to easily connect that behavior with, customers who are coming in online and understand, are we seeing true adoption from this platform? Are we seeing these customers who go through the workflow become engaged and valuable customers? So that's something that, again, just as Darius said, we were really excited about when we were looking into different partners, to hear about the development and the investment that was going into these data and marketing tools.
Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind, Monica just sparked a thought for me. In terms of anticipation, you think about what the situation that our members and for Monica, her customers are in right now, the government shutdown.
Yeah.
This is a prime opportunity for community banks and credit unions and financial institutions to show up for our membership and our customers, and great opportunity for anticipatory banking. We obviously put, as most people did, a generic message uh, on our site and on our digital platforms, but not something a little bit deeper, a layer deeper in understanding which specific members would be impacted by this kind of uh, tragedy, if you will, for many people and for many of our members. And so this is a prime example of a need for financial institutions to be able to anticipate the needs of their members.
I completely agree, and I think, Darius, that point raises, you all have created such great trust with your members and your customers, and being able to do that the way you described, it's only gonna enhance that trust and make that relationship even better, right? So, that's a big goal of this for us, I think, is creating that trust in those lasting relationships. So, thank you for that example, it's timely, and I think it's a great one. So with that, how do we get there? You're hearing us talk about a digital sales and service platform. I know Monica and Darius, obviously, you all are on this journey with us, so you're familiar. But for the audience that may not be, what is a digital sales and service platform? For Alchemy, we've made some very, intentional investments over the past few years to get to this path. And when we look at digital sales and service, it's a flywheel like what you see here, and it encompasses what we consider three of the most critical platforms that you have, and seamlessly integrating those platforms together in a way that creates that flywheel and that continuous journey for somebody engaging online. It's all about not only just having three of those types of solutions, we believe they have to be three best in class solutions that can stand really well on their own and really powerfully on their own. But when you bring them together, they can be transformative and help us achieve that end goal of anticipatory banking. So for us, it starts obviously with the online banking platform. That's where we started. This is the hub to everything we do, where we keep everyone engaged. It has to continue to be a digital experience that's easy, that's intuitive, where UX is a continuous investment. We do a lot of generational research, and we know that those investments in user experience is ever evolving and never going away. We also believe on the online banking side, you have to equally serve those retail and those business customers and users. And it also has to be an extensible platform. All those technology and tools that keep coming about, and that, year after year, something new is there, it has to be able to integrate to all that. So that's that one central piece that brings this all together. Recently, I know everyone's heard we made the acquisition of Mantl's onboarding and account opening solution. What we love about that, that's so different from others out there, is the omni-channel experience that it offers. Whether you start online, whether you start in branch, or you need to go back and forth, you can do that with that type of solution. It can meet you where you are, and we think that it helps it stand out from anything else out there. But more importantly than that, we know speed matters when it comes to that online account opening experience. Back in the day, it took 30 minutes to have that experience, to make that experience happen. And now the expectation is really it has to be less than 5 in the case of retail users and less than 10 in the case of business users. And the final piece of that is data. For us, this is probably the most critical piece of this. This flywheel, the personalization, and the personalization that leads to anticipation, right? That's nothing without a really good set of data. And it's not just about having data, it's about data that you can act on. Data that can be predictive, data that can be organized based on behaviors and other insights so that you can actually use that data to act on and create value. So bringing the three of those platforms together is what makes the larger digital sales and service platform. One thing we recognize is that this can be a lot, though, right? Some institutions are ready to take on all three at one time. Others may want to do a more phased approach. So, the way that we've designed this is that you can do either of those. You can start wherever you need to. If you want to start with onboarding and account opening, or you want to start with digital banking, you can do that first, and then you can layer on the others. Or you can do all of those at once. So, that leads me to the next question here. What's great about having both of you on is you are at very different stages and how you're approaching this journey. So Monica, I'll start with you here. You've been with us a little bit longer. Tell us where you are in this journey, and then where you're headed next, so the audience kind of
Mhm.
understands that as we go into today.
Right. Well, we're coming up pretty quickly here on 2 years live with Alkami for online banking for our digital banking platform. And as a matter of fact, we've been a live Mantle client for a little over a year, so pre-acquisition, and nobody was more excited about that development than Mascoma Bank, I think. And we've already seen such great improvement in the way that those platforms can speak to each other and are becoming more enmeshed and a little bit more seamless. That's been really exciting to see develop. What we are looking to next is, right, the data and marketing solution. So we've already seen with our Mantle implementation, we've seen our digital branch become our consistently our busiest branch month to month. Um, so what we are looking for with the introduction of the data and marketing tools is, again, moving to that anticipatory banking when we have customers completing these workflows. How do we get, the right products in front of them? If we are seeing signs of attrition, if we're able to, build some logic to identify those customers who are, becoming a little bit disengaged, or funds are starting to move out of the bank in a way that signals, they might not be using their account. How can we get the right accounts in front of them and then get them right into that onboarding workflow through Mantle, and right back into the digital banking platform without, having to go into a branch or, get a mailer out to them, just being able to act very, very quickly on that information and make it really, really seamless for customers to, respond to what we get in front of them.
Thanks. Those are great examples, and we're
Mhm.
excited to see what you all do here as we go through the next year. All right, Darius, you're much earlier in this stage. We heard earlier you're going to be going live. Tell me a little bit about, for the audience, like where you are and kind of where you're going and what you're excited about as you embark on the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of where we are. I'll start with that first. But I think for all of us, the reason why this question is really important is because we're not just competing with other FIs. We're competing with Amazon. Every experience that our members and customers have, every digital experience they have, whether that be Amazon, Netflix, watching your favorite shows, however we engage digitally, the expectation for the financial experience when you bank through your mobile or whatever digital device, the expectation is that those are table stakes. And so we started with are the kind of the entry point, if you will, the online account opening. And so we went live with Mantle over a year ago. And once we realized that Alkami was acquiring Mantle, we got even more excited about the opportunity to. I love the way you phrased it, Jennifer. That one, three best-in-class solutions, one secure platform. So we started with the online account opening experience with Mantle, kind of really elevated that experience for our members and for prospective members. That was really the attraction model, if you will. And what we're looking at for Alchemy is to really create that one secure platform for us. Red Rocks has always desired a strong digital presence. We recently modernized, as I mentioned, the account opening, but we've lacked what we've lacked, I think, is that digital platform to tie that experience together. And so that's again why we selected Alchemy, because of its unique ability to bridge that data, sales, and service kind of strategy together. We want our members to experience a connected and holistic experience that meets them exactly where they are because of the other experiences that they're having from a digital perspective. And so this gives them one less thing to stress about and worry about as it relates to their finances.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing. All right. So as we get into the bulk of the conversation today, we're going to focus on outcomes because at the end of the day, when you guys are making these investments, it's all about creating the outcomes that you need for your members and your customers, and it's creating value for you as the institution at the end of the day. So, the topics that we're going to cover next are these outcomes that you see here on the slide: data strategy, personalization. Um, we've talked a lot about that already and how important that is to make all this happen. It really is the driver behind anticipatory banking. But we also, if we're using this the right way, the end goals are continuing to fight for those deposits, to increase deposits, to retain those deposits, greater product adoption, greater retention of those account holders, and that operational efficiency. So let's dive into our first topic here on that. Throughout, I'm going to be sharing some of the research that we've done on our side. We did a generational trends research earlier this year, and in that, what we found, and it's probably no surprise to you, Monica and Darius, that when account holders are completely satisfied with how their data is used to make relevant product recommendations, they're more likely to be loyal to you as a customer and as a member. We hear a lot about data privacy and data concerns nowadays, and it's not always that people don't want you to use data. They want you to use it in the right way to anticipate their needs. So, as we think about that and we think about the stats around retention when you use data like that, um, and you think about delivering more personalized experiences, what would you say has maybe been the biggest barrier in getting from that point of having that data and turn it into action? I'll start with you on that one, Monica.
It's a great question. I think, in the past um, we had a very early barrier in even accessing that data. So we had, executive dashboards that were put together by the providers, that were made available to us. But prior to our Alchemy implementation, we didn't have a ton of access to raw utilization data, which my position as a product owner is really valuable. Um, so now that we have transitioned to the Alchemy platform, there is a lot of raw data that we can get out, and we are coming up on our next barrier, which is beyond operational workflows, beyond automation of support workflows. How do we use this data to actually understand our customers? How do we use this data to develop really meaningful performance metrics and engagement indicators, right? Beyond monthly transaction volume or alert enrollment. How do we identify those customers that are super users and understand, um, what makes them that way? What kind of connection do they have to the products? And can we build user personas that help us market more effectively to customers who are similar to them, who might, be using the wrong products or not have the right services in front of them, particularly our small business customers. There's such a breadth of services available to them, and to be able to better understand, the nature of those businesses, what their activity looks like, and what might be appropriate for them. True business ACH versus an invoicing tool. How mature are they, and what are their needs? So that's what we're looking to next. And that's something that we're very excited about being able to accomplish with the data and marketing platform. Now that we'd be able to sort of integrate that financial data, the financial product data, with the utilization and feature adoption data that we already have in the platform.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I'm going
Mhm.
to ask a little follow up here. So, all those things that you're looking forward to with the data and marketing platform, since you've mentioned you've gone live with both Alchemy and Mantle, have you seen any big shifts in your ability to leverage data so far, just even with those two solutions together? Was there anything that you would call out as notable there?
Absolutely. When we first went live with Mantle, in the interest of time, we did a pretty one-to-one transition of, what our onboarding workflow looked like in our previous platform, even though that prior platform didn't have the same depth of identity verification partners, running in the background. So we were asking a lot of KYC questions, a lot of due diligence questions, and the Mantle platform gave me, as a product owner, it gave me direct insight into where are we losing customers, whether it's they're dropping off completely or they're just saying, this isn't that easy. I'm just going to go into a branch and open this account, and they can help me through, these 20 questions that I need to get through. And we were able to look at that and start an initiative to really interrogate, how are we using this KYC data, or this due diligence data, and what are the regs really requiring us to do, and is there a way that we can modify this, or there a way that we can stagger these lines of questioning throughout, the new customer journey after an account is live, to shorten and simplify that initial onboarding workflow. So we were able to get our consumer workflow down from, I believe it was about 8 to 9 minutes, to now we're at 3 to 4 minutes for, a net new customer, and even faster for an existing customer. And that was a huge win.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Love to hear it. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So, Darius, I'll take it to you on the topic of personalization. What for you all has been the biggest barrier in getting, from that data to the action side of using that data? And then further, as you plan that strategy with where you're going with Alchemy's, data and marketing platform, and even, the whole digital sales and service platform, what role do you see that data and that personalization playing in how you'll grow your institution?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll first start by saying, Monica's story, around kind of where they've gone since launching, is encouraging. So, I hope to have this same conversation, next October, with you guys. I think, as we talked earlier, personalization's a table stake, and it's been a barrier for us. We've lacked access. I think one of the biggest barriers, we've just lacked access to meaningful data. I think most financial institutions have loads of data. I think transitioning from just data to meaningful data, and that moving into actionable data is key here. And on our current platform, we've just lacked access to meaningful data. Without a product like Segment, which we'll have access to when we go live, deeply integrated with digital banking, the effort and time to identify, analyze, and action on data it's just a much larger lift for our staff. And as a small to mid-size institution, uh, we need tech to be an enabler for us. And so this is a big part of why we made the change. I think when we talk about it, I'd said this earlier, but we kind of talk about a differentiator as an institution to provide trusted support, tailored solutions, and unparalleled service over a lifetime. Well, tailored solutions for us this is all about personalization and anticipatory banking. Alchemy's ability to create custom experiences with Theme Builder was a big draw for our team, specifically our SVP of IT and data. He was really drawn to that product as we were going through the RFP process. Using data to classify and provide our members with relevant tools and offers is another key point for us in terms of the attraction to Alchemy, and information that'll provide personalized experiences that we've been looking for. Last thing I'll say here is data is one of the resources that we have to listen to and understand our members before taking action. And so having that data, meaningful data, as I mentioned, is going to be critical for us.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right, well, let's move into our next topic, which is always very important in the space, deposit growth. And we're going to really talk about, what that onboarding and account experience looks like here that really helps fuel this area. Earlier this year, we did our digital maturity model and research. And as we were doing that and surveying financial institutions, it was kind of crazy as we found only 11% of financial institutions offer a 5-minute account opening experience for retail applicants. And then when you look at that on the business side, only 15% of financial institutions offer a 15-minute or less account opening experience on that side. And we know that those expectations keep getting, shorter and shorter. I want to be able to do this faster, right? And I think as the years go by and more generational shifts come in to changing the makeup of our customers and our members, it's only going to continue to pick up with that speed being desired. So, we know that competing for those deposits amongst consumers and both businesses is more complex than it ever has been. I'll start with you here, Darius. What has been your biggest challenge in not just attracting but keeping those different users on both the retail, the business side, or you can focus on one or the other?
Yeah, we haven't launched on the business side. That's actually with the advent with the addition of Alchemy. We're excited to launch our business platform in the next 12 to 24 months. That's on our roadmap with your solution. But I would say one of the biggest barriers for us has been speed and efficiency. It's the account opening process prior to the launch of Mantle was just much clunkier for the member, and it lacked efficiency for them. Multiple different windows and touch points, uh, too many questions needing to be asked, KYC questions needing to be asked. There was just it didn't make the experience effortless for our members or prospective members, and there was a large abandonment rate for us, and we were losing a lot of business from that standpoint. With the addition of Mantle, night and day differences from an abandonment rate. The experience is much more user friendly from a onboarding of deposit standpoint, and you guys know this. We're competing for in this market a smaller piece of the same pie from a depository standpoint, and so consumers are our key decision drivers and stakeholders when we're thinking about how we onboard new solutions, and speed is key for us. Our technology exists for them. We don't choose technology for technology's sake alone. And so speed and efficiency are two key drivers for us in making those depository decisions.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Monica, I'll turn to you now. Let's talk first off. Maybe even before you implemented Mantle, what was your biggest challenge in not just attracting but retaining those deposits? And then, as a follow up, with Mantle and Alchemy running together on the online banking side, how has that impacted the deposit strategy that you have, and where are you looking to go with that?
Right. I would say that one of the biggest challenges in retaining deposits really is how digital onboarding and neobanks have changed the landscape in terms of how burdensome, how difficult it is for a consumer to change their financial institution. That used to be a lot more of an investment of time. And at this point, it's so simple for at a lot of larger institutions, whether that's, the national banks or, digital only neobanks. It's really simple to get an account set up, get access to your funding deposit, get a debit card, and start spending. So we often think about in retention, we think about, what's the quality of the products that we're offering. Um, but it could be as simple as, they might have been interested in that product. And when they went to try and open that product, it was way too much of a headache. They ran into too many issues. There was, an expectation of calling in or being, emailed or mailed forms that they need to sign and get back to you, and they just abandon it. Because
Yeah.
again, like Darius mentioned earlier, really any company that customers are engaging with digitally is setting their expectation for how we need to be engaging with them digitally. So, what we had identified with Mantle was, all right, well, here's an opportunity for us to make it as simple to open an account here, to open a new account here, and to be able to, present to customers in the digital banking platform an attractive product and within minutes have that account open and funded. And what we've seen is prior to Mantle, right, we had, handfuls month to month of digital applications for businesses and maybe 10 to 20 for consumer accounts. And at this point, every month this year, the digital branch has been our strongest branch. We're breaking 100 accounts coming through entirely through the digital channel. So that's not even um, factoring in customers who start online and transition to the call center or the branch for whatever reason. So we've seen really strong adoption of that digital onboarding product, which is really promising. Where we are looking to go again is getting the insight from how customers are actually using these accounts and using our products once they're with the bank, and being able to, understand and identify our different segments accurately and in a meaningful way, so then we can utilize something like theme builder or navigation builder, and we can construct customer segments that are more meaningful than what we have right now, which is just all consumers in one group, small business, and treasury. Those are sort of the three identified segments. We can break those down a little bit further. Um, I think what we've heard, what I've been hearing, for years in the industry is discussion of Gen Z and how, they don't really use online banking in that way, or they aren't as loyal to a financial institution. They don't use checkbooks, they don't check their balance. And in the back of my mind, over the years, I've been thinking, well, how much of that is being Gen Z and how much of that is being 19 years old? And, will that change as they get older? And now, we're going to start seeing the oldest members of Gen Z entering their 30s. And they are going to be a little bit more engaged with their financial lives, but they are absolutely going to have the expectation of ease of use, automation, algorithmic, decisions and things being marketed to them that are only relevant to them. So our goal with the data and marketing solution is to really be able to build out those valuable personas, start to understand who these customers are, and have our application behaving the way they expect any marketplace application to behave.
So you're talking about that loyalty, Monica, is the perfect transition into the next topic here, which is on product adoption as we think about, again, that the generational trends and how they're impacting that change. Right now, in the latest research we did, we showed that only 40% of digital banking account holders expect their relationship to grow with a primary financial institution. So that topic of that segmentation and creating that loyalty and maintaining primacy is more important than I think it ever has been. We want them to continue to grow their relationship with you all to be that primary institution of choice. So since we've been kind of going that way, when you're thinking about driving product adoption, it means that rethinking how and when those products are offered. So what's been your approach now to communicate the right products to the right time with your account holders? And I'll throw that back to you, Monica, since we were having this conversation.
Again, I think this is something that we've really been struggling with. We are siloed, data sources, if as you've said, and really missing that platform to bring it all together. So we're able to, get an understanding of what customers are interested in a broad sense. And we're able to get some good customer sentiment data, but where we struggle is getting it in front of very specific segments, getting it in front of the right segment. So while we might be able to, have data that's coming from specific groups of customers and helping us develop these deposit products, when it comes time to market those or get them in front of customers, we're really just casting a wide net. It's going out in front of everyone. And that is where I, personally have been advocating for the data and marketing solution and building out that data strategy to really start understanding, who's actually likely to be interested in this, who is going to benefit from the product, and really focus the marketing to them. Because what you don't want to do is overwhelm customers with marketing and with interstitials, to the point where their brains just start to tune it out because they're, expecting it to be there. So they're just clicking through as soon as they're opening the application. You want to make sure that it's really valuable messaging and it's at the right times.
It's the same problem we deal with in the marketing side of the world. I hear these challenges and I feel them in a similar way on our side. So Darius, I want to get your take on this topic. Where do you see the greatest opportunity to deepen that product adoption, amongst your members as you're going down this path?
Yeah, I think for us, I love what Monica shared about, most financial institutions are trending older, specifically in our industry, the credit union industry. We are trending older. Our average age member is around that 47 to 50 years old. And we gotta be much more intentional about uh, appealing to tomorrow's uh, consumer. And so for us, it's really about providing those relevant offers. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, Jennifer. I love the statistic that you shared around anticipatory banking and personalization. If the offer's not relevant, then you quickly, for Gen Zers and I would even say millennials, become irrelevant. I've got a few kids that are in that age range, 18, 19, 17 years old. And for them, they've grown up with screens in their hands. And so, uh, understanding how to create relevance for that generation of consumer and banker is going to be critical for us. And, we do that a lot right now through listening to our membership through surveys and market studies. These tools help us to deliver results from those efforts, and I would say relevant results. Again, going back to that term, financial wellness is a topic that we're starting to talk a lot about and entering the conversation through the social mediums and platforms. And so, before we get to what products do we need to be offering our members, it's really what are their needs, what are their basic rudimentary needs that we're able to meet and build our product set to then serve those and meet those needs.
It's true that the relevancy is so key because if it's not relevant, it's just noise, right? There's so much out there in the digital channels that it's easy to ignore it. And you've really got to make sure that when you get their attention, you're in front of them, it's something that is going to capture that attention because it matters. So, um, that I think, Darius, takes us into the next topic here, that goes really hand in hand with product adoption is retention here. So as we kind of go to the next level down of the product adoption on the retention side, it can be tough to measure in real time, right? So how do you stay when you're thinking about keeping them engaged? How do you stay ahead of signs of disengagement or attrition? Is there something that you look at now that would be helpful for the audience to hear, or is it something that you think you're going to be able to do better with where you're going on the platform?
I'll say both.
Yeah.
One, how we do that now is we look for where money's flowing. Um, we regularly study. Is there attrition from where money's flowing out of the institution for us, and that's a lagging measure. And again, this is where we're struggling right now, and we're incredibly excited to adopt the tool. Um, in next year. But I don't think we have a strong way to identify this right now. Having stronger visibility of product usage data, through the data we get from Alkami and Segment will help our ability to identify disengagement when it starts. And that's really where you want to be, is not on the kind of tail end of that disengagement, but really on the front end of that disengagement. For us, we plan to measure engagement, uh, survey our members on their experience and their relationship, obviously through NPS. That's an easy way for us to measure engagement or disengagement or challenges that our members are facing. And we engage with every one of our detractors. That's something that we do that's important to us. We don't just celebrate the successes, but we're looking for pain points and how do we get better. And we've got capacity to do that as a staff, and we make that a priority because one of our values is unparalleled service. We want to be providing that high level of service, but we're going to be intentional about monitoring our members' usage and needs, identifying changes kind of in their behavior that signal we're not meeting their needs will be a focus for us on our use of data from Alchemy.
That's actually one of the top campaigns that we'll recommend when people on board with the data marketing platform is to look for that silent attrition so that they can get ahead of that. So I think you're going to have some hopefully great stories there as we start to implement that. So Monica, similar on your side, how do you stay ahead of signs of disengagement and attrition? And have you seen any early signs in your digital experience that maybe you've already been able to address?
I really appreciated the term, Darius, a lagging indicator. I think that is pretty representative of um, the level of insight that we have been able to achieve when it comes to attrition. So we've often retroactively been looking at our closed accounts and what did the last 30, 60 days of that user's behavior look like. Again, in my seat as a product owner, I'm working primarily right now with true product utilization data. So their clicks in the platform, transaction volume within Alchemy Digital Banking. I think it'll be really valuable what you're saying to have through Segment, through the data and marketing solution, have that financial product data and be able to understand a little bit better the holistic signs of attrition. Um, I think that a trap that we can fall into is it's obviously product is the appropriate term, but thinking too literally about what we are offering being the product. So, we look at a customer journey and we call it, the account opening. But really that customer's journey is, relocating for work or getting accepted to university and they're browsing, they're shopping. So thing that I'm really excited about with the data and marketing solution is being able to see those other behaviors and understand what might have been happening, in that person's real world that led them to engage with the bank in whatever way it is, whether it's attrition or adoption, and be able to get ahead of those customer journeys in the future.
I love the way you think of those journeys, Monica. It really is more than just opening an account. Why are they doing it? What's behind that move? What are the different actions that think about how much more personalized and anticipatory you can get if you can see those actions that are happening that are lead to that. So I think that's a really important call out that you made there. Okay, we are moving on to our final topic here, which I know is important to everyone. Operational efficiency is going to be kind of the final value driver here that we speak to that we think is an important outcome of digital sales and service. So, in our research, a couple things we found: 32% of FIs surveyed can automatically push targeted marketing campaigns to consumers when they've got cleansed transaction data. And that takes the lift off requiring things like teams of data scientists to make data actionable. 30% of the institutions that we survey can also automatically open, new accounts on the core and digital banking. When you look at these kind of stats together, it appears there's a really big opportunity, whether it's on retail and in business, to unlock new efficiencies there, especially when it comes to having cleansed data. So, Darius, I'll start with you here. Um, Obviously, we know there's always a focus on, doing things like simplifying internal workflows. As you're thinking through your implementation, what are some areas of operational efficiencies that you're focused on at your institution?
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably one of the kind of behind the scenes. This is our members will experience this. They don't know this is happening, but this is kind of an you know impact of coming onto the platform. But it's a big focus for us from a business system strategy. Strong integration and data access between, as I mentioned earlier, for us, that starts with our core. Um, we transitioned cores 3 years ago, and then we implemented a new CRM, and that marketing data and systems is an area of that we'll focus on to unlock operational efficiencies. But that starts with our digital banking platform. This is the one platform that's going to synergistically connect all of these desperate platforms together. So those are ways that we're looking for efficiencies to gain. And I'd say a streamlined and automated process of onboarding new members into Alchemy is going to be important for us. The use of Mantle, obviously, we launched Mantle a year ago, but we did that with another online banking platform, and I'm just looking forward to integrating that into Alchemy, obviously, because it's an Alchemy product and solution at this point in time. So new online account opening and seeing the investment Alchemy is making in that platform, it's exciting for our ability to move members from sales really to service in an integrated and I would say synergistic fashion.
We love to hear that. All right, Monica. Same question here. Where are you focused on gaining efficiencies right now, and also just in where you are? Has anything changed, for your teams already on the front lines or behind the scenes that you want to share?
We've certainly seen a significant change since implementing Mantle. So we've also implemented Mantle in our branches. So not just the online workflow, but we're using that for our in-branch platform as well. And the length of time that it takes to open the account was greatly reduced. The number of employees involved in that account opening from start to all the way through QC and reviewing that account after it's been booked to the core. That's gone down as well. So what we're starting to look towards is how do we, now that the digital branch is our busiest branch each month, and been able to sort of minimize those workflows for our operations teams. How might we need to start reallocating resources to supporting these platforms, to maintaining, and monitoring all the integrated fraud tools that are running in the background to protect our customers, right? Because that's a big part of our customers' confidence in us is that we're able to protect their data, protect them from bad actors, fraudulent account openings, identity theft. So that's really what we're looking at now is if we are implementing these tools that allow us to transition a lot of traditionally in-branch activity to these improved digital channels. That doesn't necessarily mean that any of these operational roles are less needed or less significant. It just means that there's, a different lens that they're going to have to support customers through. And I think that's important for other FIs to consider as they're looking to these implementations. Any conversion brings a lot of change to people's day-to-day roles. But if you're jumping from at least in our case, if you're jumping from a platform that has been around since the 90s to something as modern and efficient as Mantle, there's also going to be a bit of a vacuum, and that can create some added need for change management. And I think that fraud and security and customer support are great channels to start sort of refocusing resources.
Love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, well, that is our final discussion topic that we have for today. So first, I want to call out for the audience, those that have joined us. If you're interested in learning more about any of the solutions on the digital sales and platform, whether that be all three or one at a time, we're going to put a quick poll here that you can take, and you can let us know, and we'll make sure that an expert reaches out to you to discuss those with you. But before we wrap here, Monica, Darius, any final thoughts from either of you before I wrap us up here? I wanted to give that last chance to give some final takeaways to the audience.
Yeah, I would just simply say thank you, Jennifer, and the team at Alchemy for arranging this. I think it's really helpful. Hopefully, it's going to be helpful for those who are shopping in an RFP process to onboard a potential new online banking platform like we were a year ago. I will say, and Alchemy did not ask me to say this, but they're best in class. We looked at several solutions, and we didn't find any superior to the service that Alchemy is going to be able to provide for our members. I'll say it this way: we're looking forward to providing members with new tools to enrich their lives. At the end of the day, this isn't about the technology; it's really about the people that leverage it, and that's what we're after. We want to provide features like car controls, money movement, enhanced security, and the ability to do additional accounts inside of Alchemy that'll reduce service calls and fraud for our members. I love that you shared that, Monica. This is a safer feature, a safer tool for our membership. So really excited to onboard Alchemy next year, and I'll give you the report a year from now
We will
of
be
how it's
waiting
going.
for it. We love the feedback. Well, thank you, Darius. All right, Monica, final notes from you.
I would really echo what Darius said about the ultimate goal of these technology initiatives being to be customer centric, to be people focused. So my role at the bank is to be very, very technology focused to allow the bank broadly to remain customer centric and focused on people. And that is something that we're already starting to see with being live for just about 2 years on the Alchemy platform, 1 year with the Mantle platform. Post that initial learning curve, is we're starting to see that when you have a platform that um, gives you access to this data consistently, and when you have a platform that is truly investing in improving itself, in improving its performance, in adding these really useful tools like the Mantle onboarding platform or the data and marketing solution, we are able to focus a lot more on how are we going to support our customers with this data, or how are we going to improve employee experience with these faster, more streamlined platforms. So that's something that we're already starting to see. And as a live client, I'm happy to answer questions. You can find me in the Alchemy community always, or I'm happy to answer emails as well.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you both, first off, for the conversation today and for leading the way in anticipatory banking along with us. And just most importantly, thank you for being a customer. We love having leaders like you all as part of this community. So great conversation today. And as Monica mentioned, please feel free to reach out to either panelist. We love connecting leaders in this industry together. Just a few final takeaways on the conversation today around anticipatory banking and digital sales and service. As we mentioned earlier, we recognize it's not a one size fits all approach. You can hear that from our panelists here. Some are ready to kind of go all in on a full digital sales and service platform, and some are building depending on where they are in their journey. And we are supportive of both of those journeys. We obviously believe real growth happens when data has turned into action. We talked about that a lot today on data that is organized in a way that you can actually take action on that and you can serve up the type of offers that are relevant to your customers and your members. And finally, having that unified platform is really what we think helps drive that lasting loyalty. Primacy matters more than ever. We want to create those experiences that allow you to grow and retain those account holders for the long term as generations continue to grow and evolve. So, thank you to everyone for joining us today, and please reach out if there's any more information you want to get from us. We appreciate you joining. Have a great day.